An astonishing act of bravery by two people who took on a terrorist. The newly released dashcam footage reveals a man and woman confronted one of the gunmen during the Bondi attack. A witness described how the man in the purple shirt tackled 50-year-old Sajid Akram.
What I was able to see was him jumping on him and the dad falling backwards. My husband saw him take the rifle from him. Like he was a hero. This man was a hero.
The scuffle unfolded near a vehicle draped in an Islamic State flag.
The vehicle, which is registered to the younger male, contained IEDs. I also confirmed that it contained 2 homemade ISIS flags.
Early indications point to a terrorist attack inspired by Islamic State, allegedly committed by a father and son.
Police have also confirmed the pair travelled to the Philippines just last month.
The reasons why they went to the Philippines and the purpose of that and where they went when they were there is under investigation at the moment.
The older man legally owned 6 guns after being issued a licence in 2023. His son, 24-year-old Naveed Akram, had been on ASIO's radar since 2019. He remains in hospital after being gunned down by police. His father was shot dead at the scene.
There is no evidence to suggest other individuals were involved in this attack. However, we caution that this could change given it is early in our investigation.
The Commissioner is under pressure to reveal the scale of the police presence on Sunday.
I don't want to give information about that whilst the critical incident investigation.
Climate of anti-Semitism.
Today, the Premier stepped in to defend the officers who opened fire on the attackers.
They engaged the gunman on the footbridge with handguns. The offenders had long-range rifles. Now, there are 2 officers in critical care in New South Wales hospitals at the moment. They weren't shot in the back as they were running away, they were shot in the front.
One of them is Constable Scott Dyson, who helped bring down the 2 men after they killed 15 innocent people.
I can't take back Sunday, nobody can. But what we can do is ensure that in the future we are putting security in place so that we rebuild trust with the Jewish community. I know that this is an existential threat for some members of the Jewish community.
As the shock fades, anger is growing, with some accusing the federal government of failing to do enough to stamp out anti-Semitism. Last night, Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke was heckled while visiting the Bondi Memorial.
Hey, what have you done? You have left this happen. This is your fault. Well done. Blood on your hands, Tony Burke.
There were a couple of people who followed me out with the comments that you've heard there, but people are grieving. This is a horrifically difficult time.
Security has been ramped up at Jewish sites, but community leaders say even in the best of times, Jewish Australians fear for their safety.
Only the Australians of Jewish faith are forced to worship their gods behind closed doors, CCTV, guards. It's insane.
Police were standing guard today as the makeshift memorial near the Bondi Pavilion grew by the minute. Visitors have been coming from near and far, from sports heroes to local heroes, and those searching for new ways to comfort a community in grief. While Australia's most famous building has been lit up in memory of those who lost their lives. Fiona Willan, ABC News, Sydney.
Prayers for a little girl gunned down during a Jewish festival of light. 10-year-old Matilda's shattered grandparents leaning on loved ones as they navigate a new reality.
I asked him how he feeling. He say for 3 days I just can't cry anymore, just crying and can't. I don't know. He say how I will live through this. I just started screaming. I couldn't understand.
Matilda's little sister witnessed the shooting.
I think she needs now more support than anyone else, and she's only around 6 years old, and it was happening in front of your eyes. She was there.
Reuven Morrison died a hero. After staring down a gunman, the 62-year-old seized the moment Sajid Akram was tackled to the ground and ran screaming and hurling bricks at the shooter as he retreated.
If there was one way for him to go on this earth, it would be fighting a terrorist. He went down fighting, protecting the people he loved the most.
His daughter accused the Australian government of allowing anti-Semitism to fester.
They've had the warning signs for so long.
The ABC has now identified 9 of the 15 victims who were killed in Sunday's violence, including 61-year-old Peter Ma, a retired veteran police officer who was working as a freelance photographer at the Hanukkah festival. In a statement, his family said, "Our lives have been changed forever." The tragic irony that Peter spent so long in the dangerous front line as a police officer and was struck down in retirement while pursuing his passion for taking photos is hard to comprehend. Those who survived the attack are traumatised, like Zach Yadid, who ran for his life and hid with his young daughter from the gunman.
It was horrible. Like, we didn't sleep that night at all. We could just, my daughter said to me she was hearing the shot fired in her head. Like, the whole night she couldn't sleep.
A festival of light, now one of the nation's darkest days. Sarah Gerethy, ABC News.
The Port Arthur massacre triggered sweeping changes to Australia's gun laws. The New South Wales Premier says the Bondi attack should do the same.
I'm determined to bring in the toughest gun laws in Australia, and they'll be significantly tightened in New South Wales.
Chris Minns will work with West Australian Premier Roger Cook to take a plan to National Cabinet. WA recently put limits on the number of guns people can own. It's 5 for recreational hunters, up to 10 for farmers.
I would never say that what we do in WA is fit for everyone, but we have got some recent experience, and obviously we'll bring that experience to bear in those conversations.
Police data from New South Wales shows some individual gun owners have amassed enormous arsenals. One licence holder in the Goulburn area has almost 300 guns. Close behind is a licence holder in Sydney's southeast with 295, and someone registered in the Lake Macquarie region has 241 weapons.
We need clear limits. Why should anyone have more than 3 of these incredibly dangerous weapons? And why should anyone in suburban places like Sydney be getting access to these guns to go hunting?
Right now in Australia, a 13-year-old cannot use Facebook, but they can legally use a firearm. So we think that those sort of things need to be addressed.
But reaching consensus around the National Cabinet table won't be easy, nor will it be quick. Chris Minns isn't prepared to wait for a national response to the attack here at Bondi. He plans to recall Parliament before Christmas and has flagged tougher tests for the granting of gun licences.
And it will be controversial, is for police to use criminal intelligence, not just a criminal record, in determining whether someone should keep a gun licence or even be granted a gun licence in this state.
A test that could have disrupted the terrorists on their murderous path. Nick Dole, ABC News, Sydney.
This was the moment that stunned the gunman and stunned the nation. Ahmed Al Ahmed disarmed one of the Bondi terrorists before being shot several times himself. Now recovering in hospital, the father of 2 has received a hero's thanks from the Premier and the Prime Minister.
It was a great honour to meet Ahmed Al Ahmed. He is a true Australian hero.
He's not the only one who wanted to thank the Bondi hero. So did King Charles.
Of course, he wanted to pass on my very best wishes to those who tragically lost lives, which I will also do. But for Ahmed, he wanted specific thanks. He'd watched at close range that moment of absolute heroics.
People dropped off flowers at Ahmed's business. His neighbour Ali praised him.
Just goes to show heroes can be anyone. And we just hope he recovers well and gets back on his feet and to his family.
Despite all the official visits, Ahmed's friends have been nearby all day to make sure he's okay for his next surgery tomorrow. And of course, his parents, whom we spoke with yesterday, haven't left his side.
We thank the Prime Minister for the compassion he showed to our son and towards what he's done. Thank you to all the people who showed solidarity with us and our son.
A father grateful he can still be with his son. Nabil Al-Nashar, ABC News, Sydney.
Singing the traditional prayer for those in distress, Jewish Australians gather in Israel to show solidarity.
I was surprised how it hit me. I probably cried half the day.
Some critical of Australia's foreign policy after the October 7 Hamas attacks.
This
For the last 2 odd years, this was coming and eventually it came, and that's because of our government.
Others in the country are concerned Israel is using the shootings to score political points.
Recognising a Palestinian state was possibly one of the only things that the Australian government has really done that's going against, I guess, the Israeli government in the past few years.
In London, a Hanukkah celebration turned vigil for the Bondi victims.
Sadly and tragically, it's not a surprise. We knew anti-Semitism is as bad in Australia as in the UK, as in Canada, as in the whole of Western Europe.
London Rabbi Jonathan Wittenberg urging synagogues to continue to celebrate openly.
But we've learned that in this very, very difficult world, we have to take the appropriate protective measures with our own security, with the police, wherever we are, and ensure that we're protected from the outside.
A visible heightening of security already apparent in New York for the lighting of the world's largest menorah.
They really are checking the perimeter, so hopefully everything goes smoothly.
I felt it was imperative. I thought, you have to be here. And I'm going to do Hanukkah for as long as I can do Hanukkah, publicly.
A show of resilience after an act of hate. Eric Twarchek, ABC News.